today's topic will be a serious deal because I want you to know, not believe anymore. We left the age of Pisces, which is the age of belief. We're moving into the age, or this is supposedly the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing. So here's a few storylines I want to give you before I want to break down that is God fake news. That the concept of God that was installed in the past is the incorrect concept of what God is. But even for you Bible scholars, I did some research, is knowledge questions. Wisdom realized that we don't know. So let's say, Jesus died for our sins, and I don't want to get religious fanatics also to explode right now. This is to compare what is written in scriptures and really make up your mind of what you see. And things that I have listened to as a child and actually questioned, and storylines where I had to really think, okay, what does that really mean? So one thing is what nobody mentions. Adam had a first wife, okay? Her name was Lilith. Adam also had a mother, her name was Sophia. These characters are erased in the known scriptures. The apocryphic texts still include that, but they're, for modern scholars, the commercial aspects, you don't need to know that the first wife was not obedient. So in horror movies, Lilith is depicted as the mother of all demons. Also, that she wants to be the queen of hell, which is also a burning place is crap. You can end up in the place of your own creation, yes, but the creational old scripture thing of that you'll burn and suffer, all of this past this dimension that doesn't exist. Everything that goes in higher dimension is actually negentropic. This planet here still deals with entropy, meaning, the coming and going, the cyclical, everything decays. Everything has a certain energy. You have to hold the energy and then you decay. Well, what do you do while you're decaying? While your spirit is decaying, while we grow into dementia. We want to get out of that. So, one thing that I did, I looked in the phonetics of the words that we use and dissect them, because I had religious people approaching me saying, if you don't believe in Jesus and accept him as your Messiah, you're going to hell. First of all, I say you have no right to say to any person where they're going if you're not equipped with spiritual laws. Also, not able to perform that will show that you are a master of spiritual laws, okay? No ascended being, master, angel, or belief system outside of yourself can tell you where you go, what to do. This is a free will planet, and you're a royal being, and you make choices from consciousness. So here's one thing to start this off that I said, you're telling me to believe in something that I have no proof existed, but a book that is 2,000 years old that says it was so, and you promise me after I die, I'll be in heaven. So that means I have to believe you. That means I do not know. I have to believe. Now break down the word believe. Okay? Be. Okay. Lie. Put it this way. Be lie. Eve. So I can turn the word wizardry around and say the submissive aspect of the feminine, which was Eve, the evening, the beginning. You have to belie Eve You have to lie to the feminine intuition to trust in something that you can't feel. That is called believe. Eve. Get into the phonetics of the concept of the Anglo-Saxon English word, you know, and break down the word wizardry and the spelling that you're under. If you don't know, so I suggest watch some videos where people just break down phonetics. What does that even mean? You know, how you are a king, you are a queen. What does that mean when you're asking? In its original form, as king, and in the other tribal form was as queen. Point of view, where do you stand in what that is? So a belief system can become a computer construct, BS, belief system, that can mislead you and misguide you. So one story I had from a guy who lost belief in God, which I understand now. He wasn't lost, it was more like, he said his mother had cancer and she puts it in the hands of God. She wants no doctor, and if God wants her to survive, then she'll live. Well, she died. Nothing was done, no healing modality was found, she died. So son said, you know what, this concept of God, and he takes care and he protects and he saves, it's all crap, it's all bullshit. So I asked him, so what do you believe in? He said, I believe in a source, an all-supreme source that is not gender-based. Okay? And I was like, okay. Then I watched Daredevil, Marvel, and he saved somebody in the street, and he loses belief in God. Nobody's there to help him. Reality is what he realizes, that he's on his own right now, having to fight the enemy, which is not evil, which is not Satan, which is not Lucifer. It's somebody with evil intent that is destructive. We also have to know that. Just to see a goat-like image with horns and symbols like this and a pentacle turned upside down has nothing to do with somebody that looks as glorious as ever and has evil intent. We're being duped, we're being misled. Also, 666 was set as the mark of the beast. Nobody tells you carbon-based, neutron, proton, electron, fire, water, earth. Earth is human, that's a representation of you. And they say that you are a beast and you're born in sin. And then on one hand, we learn from the scripture, you have free will. But hey, oops, we made a little mistake here. Here are the commandments. So commandments mean you do not have free will. And then people say you can't take that literal. You have to get into the translation of what is. So also inspired by, you can say, my mother. When my father died and my brother died in a tragic car accident, and I almost died in the womb, and the loves of my mother's life were taken by what happened. She said God wasn't there when that happened. God wasn't there. That concept of God does not help me to find peace. And to go to the church, I feel as far as removed from God as you can imagine. So in her suffering, sorry, I gotta move stuff's moving here so it doesn't fly around. I listened to my mom. It's like, what does she mean she doesn't believe in God? And then as a kid, I was always told, well, God, fear the wrath of God or bow down. I'm like, why is this such a fearful God? Why is this entity coming in telling you what? It's very human. So if you are an all-knowing supreme source, not even being, This personification is not needed. So I come to the conclusion is thank God is you're thanking your higher self. Thanking is also thinking. Know the words that you use. So what I'm suggesting, to not say dismantle the books, I'm like, correct the books, know what you're reading, whether it's the Torah, the Talmud, the Quran, or the Bible, and take essentially that what is a new installation of a belief system, which is the following. The all supreme and all law of one is the central sun. It's past Ra, and that also has been misused. People use the law of one for egoic purposes and misuse that. That's also not what it's intended for, and it also won't work. You have the central sun, which is the source. This is the one. Okay? That provides the basis for what is. You have an allowance. Then you have the sun in our galaxy, and then you have a little sun representative, which is the heart, which is you. Okay? You are a triple sun being, if you will. And that's from Vedic and ancient texts that are older than the Bible, older than most religious books that you know, and I just cross-reference that and read and say, okay, let's lean on there are cosmic laws and there are spiritual laws, and they are all for a reason governed. For that reason, you don't have an invasion taking place. And everybody's talking virtual possibilities that will not take place right now. Right now, the sky is clear, and the ongoings are the ongoings on earth as is, and everybody's wondering where's God in this. Understand, God is Goma Azdubar. Greek translation, if I got this right, unique, creative, powerful. Sometimes the translation varies, but that describes you in your purest form. So I go into a story to understand the concept of God and the misuse and the misunderstanding, and also the mistranslation or the transliteration in many, many books. What I feel is that you are God. There's a very famous quote from Jesus, if you will, and many other prophets. He said, "Ye are gods, children of the Most High." The Most High is central sun, not God. Okay? There was a guy who had, and I looked at several cases, had a near-death experience. And he said that he went into the white light, and then he saw a white glowing light being of himself, which is the purest version of your soul aspect before you're birthed in any density. And he said, that's God. And that is me. You are God. You are God's offspring. So here's how the manipulation of this is deep. This is 30,000 years old, and many want to discuss and argue this, but I have facts that are in your book where I can say read here and then read here. Compare this with this. What is this saying and this saying? So I have a few things where I did some research. So before we go to that, which is going to get real crispy, I'm not debating. I'm just saying read and look at this for yourself. So what they did is the higher self, the higher mind is your God. That is you. That is you in the purest version of what soul essence actually means. So when religions condemned passion, they said passion is devilish, you know? So don't follow your passion. That already cuts you higher self, okay, lower self. Okay? The purest connection is to get belief system, gods, aspects, past lives, attachments, angels, demons, ascended masters. All of that stuff is here. That is not. This is linked to the source code. This is your higher self. That is undiluted, that is pure, that knows what to do, that knows what time it is. This is basically homeboy, homegirl that knows what's up. You don't know. Okay? We have to realize we don't have a clue what's up. We don't know. The more we process this out and understand there is surrender is to surrender what is your line always was connected. The essence remained in what we call heaven, in the pure version of space or the highest form. The only reason why you think you fell is because you thought you fell. It's in imagination. Imagination. I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard. The nation of wizards. Imagination. Okay? So what they said is they made the higher mind, which is your intuition, they made that God. God told me. No, you told yourself. Because you are billions of years old, and you told yourself. Not God, not no entity. So how do I remove power from a being that I want to control? And this comes in with the Anunnakis, Draconians, all of those oppressive energies that been here before that still partially run the course. Yeah, well, you tell them to worship not their higher self. You tell them to worship something that is a spooky creation in the sky that punishes you if you listen. It gives you commandments. It tells you how to lead war. All of those stories. I give you a quick story. So if I remove you, this is your vortex, Esther Hicks, and I remove your belief system, your power, into something outside of yourself, you're giving your power away. So if you sit here and you pray to God without having your lifeline checked with the higher self that you will heal from cancer, guess what? You will not heal from cancer, and the God that you pray to won't appear because he doesn't exist. Shocking. It's not real. Anything that isn't right now is not. Everything that is not manifest is not manifest. Nobody can change that. That's fact. And I want you just to make up your mind to understand the mechanisms of how you exist in this universe. So, when we direct the prayer inward, miracles begin to happen. Miracles, also take that word with a grain of salt. Miracle means next to instant manifestation of things that you actually didn't believe in. It's called modal of prayer. I would explain also what a prayer means. You need to, when you do a prayer, most of us praying becoming the prey. Listen to that word. Worship self, not in a narcissistic way, but you need a cosmic and spiritual self-centered way where you nourish the self. You nourish the cells. You bring back the good stuff to you. Your DNA knows that. If you in conflict, your DNA kind of looks like this. It compresses. That's physical fact. Check Bruce Lipton, biochemist. That's physical fact. Can't even be debated. When you are dying, or you have suicidal thoughts, or you have attachments, and you go into entropic state of behavior, meaning decay, bad things, negative, evil, your DNA, you're killing yourself. When you connect with your higher self, who you truly are by nature, not a car salesman, not working at Macy's, maybe making flowers or making bracelets, your true self, your DNA begins to expand and transmit into the universe, and infinite possibilities take place. But we don't know how to read the signs anymore. Let me break this down, how beautiful this looks. When your DNA expands, that is your cosmic source code antenna. And you depend on that in evolution and consciousness. So the infinity coil, as you can see here, is based in the center of the Star of David, which is the Merhaba. See the aspects? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's creation. That is you. And when creation, put it more accurately, when creation, and these are laws that the ancient Atlanteans, before it was called Egypt, New. Boom. Boom. Source code happening. Brain patterns synchronizing. Brain frequency going up. See, when Bashar channels, they say he goes up to 11 hertz. They found shamans that talk to spirits and elementals that go up to 40 hertz. With the craniosacral bone here in your brain, it kind of looks like this. Kind of looks like a scarab. And the Egyptians knew this. When this thing oscillates at these high frequencies, you reach those states. For those who need equipment that we have left here that's partially functional because it's out of whack, to get these states back. Why do you think in the story Napoleon fled when he tried to spend the night in the pyramid? Because he was impure, you know? So you can say Caesar, Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Hitler, Obi-Wan, and all, in holy places, they wouldn't even maintain 1 second. So anything that is unholy, meaning incomplete in spirit, and negative and destructive, can't stay in the light. So in the future, when we will build cities of light, dark beings will either lose their mind, can't integrate their shadow, or run. It was tested in the center of the pyramid. I'm just giving you physics to understand what you should know, not believe. The center of a pyramid, you can build a copper pyramid and do it yourself, but the measurements have to be accurate. And place an apple in there. We did this in school, and the apple doesn't rot for a very, very long time. And science is baffled. How is it that there's no decay taking place? Because the energy is being harmonized, like the DNA. When the code is according to Central Sun Code, that's the law of one, and it's past the book, the law of one. It's much deeper, goes much further out. I can go even further out to tell you that you're billions of years old. You're not just, Homo sapiens sapien is what, 40,000 years old, and then 150 million years ago you supposedly be going from amoeba to this. That is, even in a computer simulation, and according to evolutionary equations that I've seen, impossible. We are GMO, we are genetically modified, and we've probably, since Lucy, we've been altered, like what I've read, 60 times. 60 times this construct here, Elohim, Anunnaki, Cadmium, Adamite, base program for creating this. So also know this, when it says, first there was the Word, and the Word was with God, means the Lord of command. And that is not God, the Lord of command. Sumerian texts, that's before the Bible, is Enlil. First there was the Word, and the Word was with God. There's also a Lord of Air, or Prince of Air. This gets into politics, but I'm not going too deep into this. The two brothers, Cain and Abel. Enlil said, this dude here is the devil. Because the Enki, Shaitan, see this he was called Satan. That's where Satan comes from. That's Satan. That's Shaitan. And they said he went into the Garden of Eden, not Lucifer, and not the devil, and not the snake. This is all symbolism to dilute your mind. And said to Adam and Eve, you're being enslaved by this Lord of command. Of the Bible, lowercase g. You have the capital letter G and a lowercase g. So it was also on Mount Sinai that Enlil stepped to Moses, and it's in the Sumerian tablets, and said, tell your following to follow me, and anybody that worships my brothers and sisters from Nibiru and Anunnaki, I'll kill, I'll destroy. So it's not God. Every time you see this wrath and vengeful and punishment, and you got to be in fear and fearful of God, and people say don't take it literally, that is a literal documentation of an extraterrestrial entity that was a little bit more developed, a little bit taller, that said, yo, if you dudes don't worship me, I'm whacking all of you. I have the technology. What can you do? Now write this down, because I've chosen you to be my prophet. And the spiritual leader is influenced, and the control mechanisms of religio to rely on something that you do not know, totally based on a belief system and threats. Meaning like, if you don't do or believe in what I'm giving you, then I'll punish you. Well, do that 30,000 years and everybody will believe it's real. But the God of the regular world, conceptually wise, is fiction. It's Enlil being portrayed. Same thing who spoke to Job is a story where a young kid said, that ain't right, and I'm giving you the rough cut, and then I'm giving you the detail of why you should question that and do your own investigation, what you believe in. I say there's an all-natural source, a oneness where we are from, and cosmic and spiritual laws are based on that. Then there's your higher self, which we think is God, but we need to pray to ourselves. We need to endorse ourselves and go back to the purest version of the most undiluted of that, what is the Holy of Holies. Holy means complete, not holy as in, holy eminence. No, as in complete being. If a person that says he's the representative of God, that says that you have somebody that you allow to represent your higher self, that you should put in question. It's like, you want to give somebody the keys to your golden kingdom that you have here. I know many prophets said, my father, but that must be a being in flesh and blood. It wasn't the Almighty God. The royal supreme existence is source. Feminine, and that's the law of one, and everything here is under that. And when that's understood, we get clear. So, the story of Job was that Enlil in the Sumerian text says to Job, you have to show me that you believe in me. So Job sacrifices a lamb, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lamb for each child he has, to prove his obedience to God. Okay, I already have a problem with that some entity steps in. If you're all knowing and all supreme, why is it a need for you to step in to say, you got to prove to me that you believe in me? That's already manipulation. So Job slaughters the lamb, as in sacrifices life forms. I personally do not believe in sacrificing anything. The realization of what is in truth shows you peace, and you don't have to sacrifice anything. You just have to speak your truth and let unfold what the unfolding is, the true flow of things. So let's go to Job and then the story of the higher mind and lower self. So God in the Bible, Enlil in the Sumerian text, says to Job that, you've proven that, so I want to test your obedience further. And he kills all 10 children and devastates Job's land, and comes back and checks, you still, believe in me, pray to me, and are you obedient? And Job is. That means an entity came in and made you destroy life force, forms of life that are created by source, to control you and to control the belief system, and Job had nothing but grief and suffering. And a little boy that was 7 years old told me that I disagree with that. I feel that is not right. So I listened to the little boy. I feel there's been mistakes in how we translate this and how we live this. None shall come before you to tell you what you have to do in order to find your belief and your peace and your freedom. So, same thing when the daredevil saved somebody in the street, and the woman that said, "Thank you for saving my father." Her dad got saved. Thank God for you. And he's like, God didn't save your father. I did. So there's things where do not give credit to something that is not manifest, not in form, that doesn't do anything, but you. Okay? Little girl falls into a well. Everybody out there prays to, they don't know really what they're praying to. They in upset. Also because they have no telepathic link to the little girl. Little girl gets up, climbs out the well, comes back home, and everybody's like, thank God. No, thank the little girl that had a connection with the higher mind, knowing what to do to come back, because that's actual fact. We have to go to physical fact and step away from the virtual spirituality that leads you into, you don't know where this is going. You have no idea, no feeling, or no proof. And if you can't sense it, taste it, feel it, smell it, or touch it, then question it, because you don't know. I don't know. You know, I saw a guru once that was teaching the downloads and the ETs and all that coming in, and I was like, very, very interesting, and I followed that path. All of a sudden, she said she's the older sister of Jesus, and I'm like, cut. This is when people seek titles, get the Messiah complex, and take off, and they think they're almighty. You are almighty when you are in purity with your source code, when you are with your higher self, when you know what to do. So another thing, I want to lean on Bashar. He said, what did he say? He said, the higher self is like sending you passion. Let's say, in relationship. Somebody's been married for 17 years. And so it seems everything is good. And person A, could be the girl or the guy, finds a person that gives them excitement. All systems turn on, all passions come in. But they say, I have to suppress this. I'm married in the name of God, and I gotta stick with my partner because I made that contract and that deal. And I will suppress what's naturally coming to me. And they die of cancer, or they develop an ulcer, because the energy that was sent from the higher impulse to the lower wasn't exercised. And as Kundalini is rising from 2019 to 2025, maybe further up, this is what's coming in for us. Where you have to see where we look at divorce rates or split ups or breakups, all that, where this comes from is we lied to ourselves at the beginning to put in our escrow what is not real. And if this comes back out and to say, would you follow that? So let's say a firstborn animal, whatever mother figure appears in front of it, it will naturally follow and trust with its life for that. And if that is nurtured, that can grow, that brings forth life. So Bashar said, we went through life, and I find it funny. So I'm almost quoting Bashar here, but I find it very interesting, and I want to share that with you. The higher self says, here, passion. Oh, there's music, drum computers and beats. I want to compose. And lower self says, nah, I work as a bank teller. You know, who wants to be a musician? You're too old. No. And the passion and flair and the energy that came up as you were in front of the window seeing that object of desire, you shut it down, you go back to the bank, and you create that deficit, because this is when Esther Hicks says, you are not in agreement with you. So this is the smaller you, this is the bigger you. So if you're not in agreement with this, you're in trouble. And I don't care what book you read, what your belief system is, you also have to know we have 1,276 known deities that say that they're God, all with different rules and aspects. That shows you that our consciousness is shattered this aspect here, higher self, into 1,276 deities. I think there's even a book about it. I think it's called 1,276 deities, plus or minus 5 deities. Read how we have also 470 religions that say they are the ultimate belief system, everything else can go to hell. That also cannot be right. That's a contradicting software error that also I will bring up now in, see, this takes forever when I do this, but I have to get into this to just break it. So if you go, this is from research, into your books. In Revelation 22:16, it's Jesus claims he's the root of David. But in Matthew 1:18, and please read, I will read that to you so you do your own research. So you have to know what you're studying and the contradictions in there over and over, because the scholars back then were not smart enough and not divine enough to know what they're actually doing. So in Revelation 22:16 it says, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I'm the root and the offspring of David, and bright and morning star. So in Matthew 1:18, it says, now the birth of Jesus Christ was on the wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with the child of the Holy Ghost. So here it says Jesus was a seed of a virgin, the Immaculate Conception. But in Revelation 22:16, he claims he's the root of David. So what's it going to be? Hip or hop? See how we contradict ourselves over and over and over, where the scholars back then were not smart enough. Also, they were all male. Females were not allowed. Also, when God created the firmament, which is like holy shit, like they're giving Enlil all the discredit. The scholars cannot explain, did he create the sun first or the central sun? And many religious belief systems do not know, does the earth revolve around the sun, or does the sun revolve around the earth? Or what is the overall movement of the earth revolving around the sun, if you know this? And this entire revolving, where that revolves to, how are we moving through the universe? Well, scholars in your holy books cannot break that down, because they were not equipped with the astronomical science and knowledge to do that. I find that interesting. You know, in Mark chapter 10:46-47, the healing on leaving Jericho was one blind man. But if you go to Matthew 20:29-30, the healing on leaving Jericho was two blind men. So then they're not sure, did he heal one, or did he heal two? And you got to read those chapters. Please read them. John 5:31, Jesus did not bear witness to himself. John 8:14, Jesus did bear witness to himself. As it in the translation it reads, if I bear witness to myself, my witness is not true. So also, like, you observing yourself and what you're observing is not true. You're being thrown into a contradiction. If you want to really go into the sentence, then John 8:14, and not even want to go into much into this Bible stuff, it's too much politics, but Jesus answered and said unto them, though I bear one record of myself, yet my records is true. Now it's true. For I know when I came and I whither I go, but ye cannot tell whence I come and whither I go. So I'm like, I got more secrets and you don't know how I'm doing this. But here's the truth. And on the other aspect, it's not the truth. So I say, just be healthy to question what you read when you're also, this is the belief system, because it will crumble. And many prophets have prophesied this. Belief systems will fall apart, for we will realize it is untruth that was spoken and written down. Also, all female shamans, female gods as in higher beings and higher aspects were destroyed, torn down. We know this. Hebrews 4:15, Jesus is without sin. Matthew 19:17, Jesus says only his Father is without sin. So what's it going to be? Make up your mind. And please read Hebrews 4:15, Google it. Matthew 19:17. I read it to you real quick because I don't want to elongate this forever, because it's just the contradiction here. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched, which the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. It's Jesus saying, I'm without sin, okay? Then when Jesus says only his Father is without sin, you got to go into this Bible stuff. I'm just breaking it down. And he said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandment. So nobody is better than this, because I'm not free of it. So You know, in one chapter I'm without, and the other I'm with. So then also the numbers are not correct, and I can go on and on. I found hundreds and hundreds of discrepancy. Was like, I can take this. I can take many holy books. Like, say, look at this. I'm gonna make this short. 2 Samuel 10:18. It says that David destroys 700 chariots. You know, it says like something like 700 chariots and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobach, the captain of the host, who died there. Then in Chronicles 19, like the first Chronicles 19:18, David destroys 7,000 chariots. So you have 700 here, and all of a sudden it's 7,000. So they blow it up, they make it bigger, but it's in the same book, because chronologically, when they updated the book, it's like kind of you have Windows 97 here, and Windows 2005 here, and Windows 18 here. And this is corrupting, as you look at it from a programming aspect, this is corrupting database. This cannot make sense. Let me see if I find something. Something else. Yeah, it says in Numbers 25:9, the all-merciful God sends a plague that kills 24,000 of his own people. And the Corinthians 10:8, it says, neither let us commit fornication as some of them committed and fell in one day 320,000. So here it doesn't even say the all-merciful. Here it says that the same plague they're talking about killed 23,000, and then the other one is 24,000. So numbers are wrong. Stuff is off. Where like you really, in one, alcohol is permitted, in the other one, it's sinful. Then in one chapter, you can go on and on. God forbids lying. That's Exodus 20:16. Read that. And then in Samuel 16:2, God commands lying. So when it is convenient, you're told, and you have to see this. Whoever wrote this book wrote it based on an emperor that used strategic war plans, which is Enlil, to manipulate and control the masses by saying, you know, when I tell you to speak the truth, this is when I need to know the truth. That's very strategic and very human, and psychologically break that down and use the intelligence to do that. Study it yourself and read that, how you confuse between God and devil, what's being done to you. God lives in dazzling light. Timothy 6:15-16. And the Kings 8-12, yet he lives in darkness. So where does God live? In light or in darkness? Really, it's very confusing. It's yin, it's yang, it's hip, it's hot. I'm gonna read to you one last deal. Is Timothy 6:15-16. Who only hath immortality, dwelling in the light, which no man can approach, unto whom no man hath seen, nor can see, to whom be honor and the power everlasting. Amen. Yeah, dwelling in the light. Kings 8:12. Then spake Solomon, the Lord said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. So what's it gonna be? Light or dark? And the stuff goes on, people. Maybe I write a book to there's one is in Leviticus 11:44-45, man is to be holy, and then Revelation 15:4, only God is holy. So also it says that the right and just shall be rewarded by God when it is according to strategy, but then it says, you know, that the right and just man becomes the mockery of the town. So the righteous will suffer, but the righteous will be rewarded. 10 commandments, but you have free will. So you can't do what you want to do. You need to do what my command is. And I'm just telling you, question what the command is. Let me see if I can find another piece to wrap this up. So I want you to make up your own mind to what is. Like question, you know. Let me see. Yeah, basically, you can ask yourself, like, as the devil is being described in Genesis 3:1, is that the same devil that's described in Ezekiel 28:13? And the same thing referred in Isaiah 14:16. Read those chapters and really compare those chapters. And when say you can't take that literally, then you're not really studying what's out there. And when the firmament was created, scholars cannot explain. Was it the sun? Was it the central sun? And in the end, God created humans in His own image. That's also false. I say this here, I'm leaning here, is because the Anunnakis came in and genetically manipulated the human race. So if roughly what I hear from whistleblowers and going through like a plethora of people that I listen to, maybe 50 people that I cannot name all here, the roundup is I'm hearing that 300 million years of at least 3 rivaling extraterrestrial faculties that are not the most high, that are advanced but they're not ultra advanced, dealt with altering our genetic gene codes at least 60 times. So the human race been to war and fell at least 60 times. And when warlords come in, they say, I am God. When Marduk landed, he gave himself the name of a planet and he said, worship me as your God. I recommend the book False Gods, Anunnaki by Sasha Lessin to really understand how deep the manipulation goes of if a being comes in here that stands 15 foot tall, can make objects levitate, has mind control, all women flock to you, and he says, worship me as God or I'll destroy your city. Well, you will worship him as God. Well, if those beings rule for 7,000 years, guess what? Even after they leave, the offspring, which is us, will still believe that these must be gods. Understand, all I'm saying is you are God. And the law of one, as in the Most High Supreme Royal, is the central sun, Ahau, Tzolk'in, Mayan calendar, the source that gives you the allowance. Central sun. And when you pray, and maybe I do this in another video, pray to the self, pray to the cells, worship your higher self and understand you are in control, not God or the image of God. And in the Bible, we'll see how it changes. Small size letter G, capital letter G, and the attitudes of what strategically is needed and who prays and how war is fought and who's destroyed, very human. It is my opinion that if you are a supreme being from a higher dimensional aspect, I don't need to come before you to tell you to worship me. What I see as supreme is if an angel assists you in an endeavor to find your enlightenment without having to follow a belief system, religio as in a religion, or something that is promised after death that you can attain here. And they called the Egyptian belief system, which is an old Hermetic principle, it's in the Vedas, it goes even further back, that they say that this must come from the devil, as above, so below. What does that mean, to wrap it up? As above, so below means, as in the heavenly, all-knowing, complete, holistic faculty of you, so it shall be on earth. So when you manifest the heaven potential that you have, as you synchronize the duat within and you bring it to earth, your garden can bloom and blossom, flower and nourish. So if per se you have a 5-year-old that doesn't know any holy books, and the 5-year-old paints like Van Gogh, apples this size, fruits coming out the garden that are divine, and people heal eating from that boy. You cannot bring any belief system into that construct because it is pure, because that little boy has full contact with higher self. There is no night self or light self. There is the self, there is the cells, 50 trillion cells that this consciousness called soul governs. That is your responsibility. And your responsibility, understand, is there is only the dense zip file of this body here, of that cloud server, which is the soul, which is connected to other servers. And why is it called server? Because it is serving, and you are here to serve. And the question with that is, past the false installed belief system, is what are you here to serve for? Not a false god or a fake identity that is a spooky dude. You know the image of a guy with a beard in heaven, and he can destroy armies, kill kids. You know, God wasn't there when Herod killed all the type O negative kids because he was afraid that a Messiah would be born or advanced being. That was done already when Enki and Ninhursag implemented cell DNA of Anunnakis and other beings, knowing the day would come that we will wake up, we will remember who we are. And back then where the word Jesus comes from is Easu actually. Easu is those with the original knowledge of Ea. Yes, not everybody is a saint, and not to worship Ea as an Enki, but he had a hand in what we're realizing now, coming to our senses and to ourselves within the knowledge, to know that we are Goma Asdubar. We are human. We are light manifests, human in the body. And what we do here is what will take place. As we lay laws, the law shall unfold. Governed by divine, spiritual, as in cosmic and spiritual laws, that we need to learn to listen what is, not try to command by I know better, I know what's going on. And the funny story to wrap this up, see, I'm already giving you almost an hour here for free. This could be a class. It's this. Higher self says, there's a hole over there, follow your passion. And lower self says, no, I'm going to do this because I know better. You fall into the hole. Higher self embraces you. As the Bible says, God is here. Higher self is here all the time. Your body is here. Your cells always forgive. You can be an addict, I don't know, heroin addict for years. The minute you decide to turn that around by your choice, your cells have the ability to heal. That is what God is. 2 steps towards the self, 3 steps the selves come towards you. And if you understand the modality of, I want you to bring the connection between you and your true self back together, so this can become one. Like as in right hemisphere and left hemisphere. And when these become balanced, the energy becomes so powerful that you understand that you are creator. You are creation, manifest in the flesh. And you have the royal right in the physical, as long as you hear and you breathe air and you have the allowance to manifest your servitude to this planet. Henceforth, expanding your mind to wherever you're going, however you're incarnating, whatever the power be. And the greater this connection is, the more magic you shall have. And you will be past a commandment when it says you will not steal. You will have the opportunity to realize that stealing creates lack in the future. What you take from here will disappear there. When you have the insight as the enlightenment, which happens all the time, because you're photonically run, you're enlightened all the time, to varying degrees, you will not steal. Same with sexual energy. You will not pervert desires of things you can't have that have not given your consent, because you have the insight with the higher level of consciousness that it is so. Only when consent is given, you're embraced and you're invited, and you follow that by divine right. And that's feminine energy installed back into your operating system. And then you are on your way to find it right. And again, you know, those who'd love to debate, I'm not here to debate or convert. This is for people that are in resonance. Take everything in consideration. Question everything. Look at the essence of what is. And old systems right now, we are looking into it, are falling apart, are being dismantled, dismembered. Read the chapters that I have given you. These are the translations. You can also go into original Hebrew text or original Aramaic text if you can read that. It is written and it's not changing You can only change by developing the perspective of, okay, let me make a choice based on a feeling. Something that gives you a good feeling and that's sustainable. That should be your religion. And make it happen in this life. Don't dream of, I don't know, a lot of people that I was when I was 18 into telemarketing, and older people were like, I'm in retirement, I'm just waiting for God to take me, and I'm just sitting here and waiting to die. Do not sit here and wither. Get up, take charge, take responsibility for your life in the positive with your servitude of what you're doing for life in creation, not in extremes, everything in balance, and you will be right. You will find your way. For that, a cult is not necessary, nor a coach, nor a leader, which also can lead to another video why when a failed student also reverts his spiritual belief and hates all spiritual people, hates all star seeds, and the attack is on because the guru didn't show him the magic. Find your own magic. It is useless to pay I don't know what to sit in an ashram for how many years and you cannot find it. Get up yourself, get the essence, invest in your development, but be witty, be quick with it this time. That's why enjoy that. You have me coaching for free. You don't have to sit anywhere. Just take that in, take notes, do your own studies, develop your own mind, build your own power, and step forth into the light as you are God, offspring of the central sun. And when this party is over here, anybody who wants to debate, we're all going back to where we came from, and it'll be evened out. And on that note, I'll see you on the flip side. And I love you more than you can imagine because I care.